Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad to have you with me here today. This is a video I've been wanting to make for a long time. I don't know if any of you have seen advertisements for the movie Corsets here. It's a fictionalized account of the life of Empress Elizabeth of Austria, also called Empress Sissy. I have not seen this movie and I don't intend to see it, and I'm not going to be talking about this movie. I'm going to be talking about a 2-minute long video that was released as a promotion for this movie of the main actress, the leading actress, Vicky Krieps, or Krebs, I'm not sure how it's pronounced.
Vicky Krieps.
Talking about her experience wearing a corset, because there are some things she says that I, for one, would like to address. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. YouTube really cares about something called viewer satisfaction, so that means if you leave a like on this video and comment something down below and share the video and subscribe, then the algorithm is going to recommend it to more people and then I will do better. So please do all of those things. If you want to support me on Patreon, I'm going to leave a link to that down below. No hard feelings if you can't. I understand money being tight, but there will be hard feelings if you don't support me on Instagram because that's free. There'll also be a link to that down below, and there will also be a link to my email. And a huge, huge thank you to the people who do support this channel on Patreon. You make it possible for me to do this. So thank you. I'm going to leave all of their names listed at the end. Without further ado, let's get into watching this featurette.
We were both too naive concerning the corset.
First of all, I really like her feathered capelet thing, and this isn't necessarily an issue that I have with what Vicky Krieps is gonna say. I just think that the ominous music that they're playing right here is very funny and they're not trying to be impartial.
We decided, okay, we're gonna use the corset for real. She was home. If I make a movie about a woman who's imprisoned and sand and maybe almost breaking, suffocating and drowning from her life, her society, being a woman, then the corset was like this element that
So they make it seem like in this that she's fainting because of the corset. She's not. In the trailer, it makes it clear that she was just faking. There's a scene after this. Again, I've only seen the trailer, but in the trailer they show her fainting, and then they later show her talking to her cousin, who is Mad King Ludwig of Bavaria. He built the Neuschwanstein castle, and she's telling him in very great detail how she faked fainting.
Felt so important. But we did it the old way, the actual way. If I suffer a little bit, you know, then that's just a little bit of what she suffered, I guess. As soon as I wore it, maybe 2 minutes later, I got sad. It was like that. And when I took it off, 5 minutes later, I started laughing. Go away, go away, go away. And I realized something is happening to me that I cannot control, and it comes from this corset. That's when I discovered the diaphragm. Our emotions, they're almost attached here. If you suppress the diaphragm, you suppress all your feelings. I know this is in the movie, but she wrote it before me wearing it. But when I wore it, even at 6 in the morning, I felt like, oh, I want to smoke a cigarette. You know?
She could not really eat.
I couldn't really eat, I couldn't really drink, and I was like itchy, like nervous, and so it made sense, you know, even if I'm not a smoker, really. I didn't realize how painful it would be and what it would do to me if I wear it every day on a film set. It is pressing on your diaphragm all the time and against your ribs. The ribs are leaning on the corset and the corset is pushing from underneath. I wouldn't recommend it, really. I would never do it again, ever. All I wanted to do was smoke, and I'm not joking. It's about sedating yourself because something is too painful.
Believe it or not, I know what she's talking about. I've experienced the feeling that she's talking about before. It does not come from wearing a corset. It comes from tight lacing. Wearing a corset and tight lacing are two very different things, and I'm sure most of you know this, but I'm going to go into it just, you know, for those who don't. Wearing a corset, normally, you're not going to be reducing your waist all that much, maybe a couple of inches. Tight lacing is when you reduce your waist by, I've seen different metrics for it, anywhere from 6 to 8 to 10 inches, but it's when you're really trying to reduce your waist significantly. And I have done that, and I do it rarely, but you know, for balls and parties, what have you, I will lace my corset much more tightly. And Empress Elizabeth, Empress Sissy, also tight laced. She wanted her waist to be 19 inches. This was not common during the lifetime of Empress Elizabeth. She was born in 1837 and was assassinated in 1898. In fact, it was very much criticized at this time. There was a lot of writing against tight lacing at this time. I'm going to read you a poem that I found in a book from the 1840s in a bookstore. I didn't end up buying the book, unfortunately. It was much too expensive. But it is just a counterblast against tight lacing. Why do the ladies lace? Ah, why? Indulge in that graceless vice, and make their forms deformity, their life a sacrifice? Why scare sweet health from out her home, the roses from each face? Why haste their journey to the tomb? Ah, why do young ladies lace? And it goes on and so forth. So tight lacing was roundly criticized. So there have been times when I've laced my corset down as tightly as I could. I felt a feeling that I'm assuming what she's talking about. Of course, I don't know for sure, but based on what she's describing, I think I know what she's feeling. Like it's this very kind of breathless, kind of hyperactive, and you know, kind of like a monkey on crack, and just like. And it's very uncomfortable, it's painful, you can't eat, it's difficult to breathe. So I know where she's coming from, but that's not happening because she's wearing a corset in this movie. It's happening because she's lacing her waist down to 19 inches, and because she's never worn a corset before. Those two things combined together are going to make it incredibly uncomfortable, but it's not coming from the corset itself. This makes it seem like Empress Elizabeth had to wear this tight corset because of her position in society. And she didn't. She did not have to tight lace. That was very much something that she chose to do. And of course, the argument can be made that she had mental health issues, which she did, and that made her tight lace. But again, that's not an issue with society, and it's not an issue with the corset. That was an issue with her. The argument could also be made that she was in the public eye, she was a powerful woman, so she had to be more fashionable and look more ethereal than normal women did. And I hear that argument, and I raise you Queen Victoria, who was the size of a house. So Empress Elizabeth was not forced into tight lacing. That was something that she chose to do. And in this video, I'm not trying to take away from her experiences or say that she's lying or whatever, because I think that she definitely did feel what she's talking about. Again, I've felt it too. I'm just pointing out that she's wrong about where it's coming from and the circumstances in which Empress Elizabeth lived. And they are in this video portraying this as something that happens when you wear a corset. You know, in the very beginning she said,
we were both too naive concerning the corset.
She doesn't say we were both too naive about tight lacing, or we were both too naive about lacing me down this as much as we did for this movie. She's attributing all of this to the corset itself. And that is not the issue. The issue is the degree of tightness to which it was being worn. She also says,
but we did it the old way, the actual way.
And again, that's true. This is the actual way that a few women did it, but being presented as something that is just kind of inherently, it just goes inherently along with wearing corsets. And that is just not the case. This was not a very long video. Again, I am not taking away from her experiences at all. I have experienced the exact same thing. I'm just adding some context to say that she's incorrect in her diagnosis of what is causing that discomfort that she experienced. So I'm attempting to shed some light on that. So I do hope you enjoyed, and I hope you will stick around and watch the next video that I put out. Bye-bye.